What is up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day, or had a wonderful day, wonderful evening, wherever you may possibly be. Hope it was a great one. Friday's right around the corner, so hey, I hope you guys have a fun weekend and be safe. So, if you watched the video prior to this one, it's extremely hard to watch. So I put up so many warnings just to think that there's people out there like that. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it might be for the best, because this, I think, or kind of felt like it needed to be said or heard. You know, while some may have good intentions, others just see it as an outlet to get what they want legally. In saying all that, kind of flip the script. So, when you were younger, you watched Star Wars. How many of you guys ever put out your hands and I'm gonna have this, the Force power. I'm gonna have this come over to my hand, or Jedi mind tricks. Or for me especially, it was whenever you got new shoes, you felt like you could run quicker. I mean, that's almost like every child that I could think of, including myself. I don't know what it was. It's just the pair of shoes made you feel like you could run faster. And while a lot of us grow out of that, knowing, okay, it's just the thoughts of a child, some people are very incapable of maturing, I guess, is what you would call it, or some sort of mental disability in itself, if you continue that type of behavior to the extent that this individual does. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are my age who still mess around, use the Force or whatever, but it's done in good fun, humor. But when you take it to the next level, like this guy, it's no longer it's not fun. It's just, I don't know. There's clearly something wrong there. So in saying that, this video is created by a really good YouTuber. Found him a few months back. Has a funny ass personality. His name's Dantavius. He has some really good videos. His humor is just off the charts. And he's the one who put this together. So I'm going to be reacting to this video as it just caught my eye. And yeah, let me see what you guys think. So here we go.
Seattle, a godforsaken hellscape that shouldn't exist. It's riddled with drugs, crime, violence, and worst of all, hipsters. A city where the only thing more common than Starbucks is HIV. In Seattle, it's considered a good day if you only get stabbed once on your way home from work. In short, the place is a shithole. But once upon a time, there was a man that had a vision for a better Seattle. A man who was a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. I'm talking about Phoenix Jones.
When the sun sets on Seattle, an ordinary citizen becomes a dark knight known as Phoenix Jones.
Phoenix Jones calls himself a crime fighter. He's the man who dresses up and patrols the streets at night.
My name is Phoenix Jones, and I'm the leader of the Seattle superhero movement. We walk around a lot of the really rough areas of Seattle and just keep our eyes out for crime and just are the first responders on the scene.
They patrol the not-so-mean streets of Seattle, allegedly breaking up crime when they see it.
Stay back.
Phoenix Jones, yeah, that's what he's called himself.
Phoenix
but look
Jones.
Look how he dressed. Fucking cosplay dork.
Before he became a hero, Phoenix Jones was just a regular schmuck named Ben. And he was just like me and you. He went to work, took care of his kids, paid his taxes. Just a dude living a normal life in Seattle. Well, as normal as anyone can live in Seattle anyways. But one day that would all change when Ben took his son to the mall for some back to school shopping. When he finally got back to his car, the front window was broken and there was glass everywhere. Turns out some scumbag put a rock in a ski mask, smashed the window, and took everything inside. Then his son fell on the broken glass and cut himself up so bad that he needed stitches. And as if that wasn't bad enough, he got 12 parking tickets while he was gone. And Ben was pissed off. I mean, wouldn't you be? But what made it even worse was that several witnesses saw the robbery and did nothing about it. They just watched and let it happen. If you've ever been to the big city, you know that most people who live there are completely desensitized to crime. They've seen so much of it, it's like part of their daily routine, like exercising or paying $5 for a cup of diarrhea water from Starbucks. Most people aren't gonna get involved when they see something going down. These days, we're more likely to record a crime than to try and stop it. And I guess it kind of makes sense. There's a certain logic to not messing around with dangerous looking characters. But still, you can understand why Ben was upset. His kid had to get stitches, the car needed repairs, and these mother suckers just sat there and watched it all happen. He wanted to do something about it.
The police told me that there was nothing they could really do and there was no way to investigate it, and the insurance wouldn't cover it because I didn't have a police report, and it was all this stuff, and it just piled up. And finally I said, if they're not going to do something, I'm going to. And I went back to that parking lot and I sat there and I waited for the guy, and I caught him and I chased him into the woods, and I basically gave him a very firm talking to about why you don't break into other people's cars.
A few weeks later, Ben was downtown having a drink when he sees one of his buddies getting beat up outside of a bar. This time, he wasn't just gonna sit around and let it happen. He still had the ski mask from the carjacking in his car, so he put it on and chased his friend's attacker until the police arrived. This is where Phoenix Jones, Seattle's very own superhero, was born. There was too much crime in the city and too many citizens were ignoring it. When his friend was getting the absolute dog shit beat out of him, there were 50 people just watching it happen, doing nothing. Ben decided he wasn't gonna be one of those schlemiels sitting on the sidelines watching innocent people get attacked. He was gonna clean up this city. The only problem is he couldn't just run around with a ski mask or people might mistake him for a criminal. So like every good superhero, he decided he needed a dope ass outfit. But he wasn't gonna settle on some cheap ass Party City costume. No, our boy Phoenix Jones wanted his very own bat suit. And after paying a visit to his local custom superhero outfit store, he found the perfect one. Complete with a bulletproof vest, stab plating, and shock absorbing foam, the costume came with a price tag of $10,000. But hey, it was worth it, because it looked cool as shit. The only thing that was missing was a cape, which, let's be honest, would be incredibly impractical in an actual fight. You could stumble on it, like an enemy could pull on it. It would be a nightmare. But what it did come with was toys. And I'm not talking about the kind me and your mom use in the bedroom. I'm talking about crime fighting toys. Stun baton, pepper spray, tear gas, handcuffs, you know, all the basic stuff an up-and-coming crime fighter needs in his utility belt. At one point, he even had a $10,000 riot shield that could take a shotgun blast at point-blank range. Once Mr. Jones had all the equipment he needed, he was finally ready to start prowling the streets of Seattle looking for crimes to stop. It didn't take long. He did everything from keeping drunk people from driving, stopping carjackings, breaking up fights, and stopping criminals from fleeing crime scenes until the police showed up. He even stopped a guy from stealing a bus. And he didn't just dish out ass kickings all day long. He was serious about helping people. So he would feed the homeless, he would help elderly people cross the street, get cats out of trees. The man was basically a grown-ass Boy Scout. And his good deeds didn't go unnoticed. Phoenix Jones was gaining a reputation in Seattle. He was kind of a cult hero, and the local news started following him around everywhere. I mean, who could blame him? There was a fucking superhero running around. That's not something you see every day. So our boy PJ decided to use the attention to his advantage. If more people knew about what he was doing, it might inspire others to get out there and fight crime themselves. Plus, the criminals would think twice about getting involved in some tomfoolery. There was a mass vigilante running around. So he started uploading his exploits to his YouTube channel, The Phoenix Jones, in full 120p glory. I mean, god damn, bro, this shit looks like it was filmed on a pool noodle. Despite looking grainier than a bowl of rice, the channel instantly took off. People ate this shit up. And a lot of people were inspired to go out and be Phoenix Jones. They wanted to put on their own costumes and fight crime. So Jones decided to start up his very own supergroup, like a real-life Avengers or Justice League, but shittier. They called themselves the Rain City Superhero Movement. Members included Shockwave, Buster, Green Reaper, the Mantis, Karma, Skyman, and El Caballero, and Phoenix Jones's wife, Purple Rain. Soon, Phoenix went from being a local hero to a mainstream icon. He was even doing interviews with Fox News.
Why? Why do you wear the costume? Why do you do this as a superhero?
I think you have to draw attention to the fact that crime's not okay, and that there's people running around who are just out of control. And the only way to really draw I could think of to draw attention to the fact and not look like I was going to do something bad, with like a ski mask and all bulletproof gear, I took an image that meant something to me. I took the image of a superhero and made it my own.
And Dr. Drew.
I went out and fight crime the day before our first date, and I was planning on taking the night off, but I did it anyway, and I ended up getting stabbed. And we have a date the next day, and I can't go to the hospital, and I can't, reveal my secret identity. So I thought to myself, what do I do? I'll just glue it. 15 minutes in, I'm like, listen, I'm bleeding profusely from my abdomen. I got stabbed the other day, dressed up like a superhero.
He was not exaggerating in that clip. This guy was not messing around. He was actually putting his life on the line every single night. While prowling the streets, Phoenix was stabbed, shot at, beaten up, had broken bones, and often came home bruised and battered.
I've broken 3 ribs, I've had my nose broken, I've been shot twice, been stabbed 2 times, I've been arrested on countless occasions. I've been in probably maybe 40 or so street fights.
And your body can only handle so much punishment. Just ask your mom. The injuries were starting to pile up, but Phoenix powered on. Putting on a costume and fighting criminals all day long sounds pretty fun, but in all honesty, it's a miracle that this dude's still alive. But pretty soon, injuries would be the least of his problems, because he was starting to get on Seattle PD's bad side. Police typically aren't too fond of other people doing their jobs for them. And the fact that Phoenix Jones was getting a ton of great publicity, something the police rarely get, probably built up a lot of resentment. Because at the end of the day, even though Phoenix and his friends were doing a lot of good, in the eyes of the law, they were nothing but glorified vigilantes who were just making it harder for the actual police to do their jobs.
It's not something that we sanction as a department. It's not something that we authorize in any way, shape, or form. Seattle's a very unique city. What I'd say to Phoenix Jones is, hey, you're doing a pretty good thing. You okay, brother? But there's a line, don't cross it.
But despite the fact that Seattle PD was breathing down their necks,
I feel the same way. There's a lot of channels out there that are dedicated to, these guys wanting to catch child, predators. And I often wondered, are their actions, or a lot of their actions, can it be harmful for the court system to put them away the way the police needed to handle it? Once, anybody has that vigilante, mentality and gets in the way of law, you're just kind of making it worse. I don't know. This guy is really has a screw loose. This dude is has watched The Dark Knight one too many times. People aren't really going to give a shit if you... Oh my goodness, I needed to laugh after that last fucked up video. This is funny, man. I should have put this on my funny clips video. If you guys haven't seen that, go check it out. It's just some of the funnier clips from movies that I enjoyed. But, man... granted, he didn't call the press conference together. They're already there knowing that this lunatic, will be in court showing up in a... yeah, that is funny.
A professional MMA fighter. Suddenly, the amount of ass he was kicking was making a lot of sense. This man was a trained martial artist fighting regular-ass Joe Schmoes. After the whole unmasking, Phoenix was at the peak of his career. He could have just retired from crime fighting, and he would have gone down in history as an absolute legend. But it's like they say, you either die a hero, or live long enough to become a villain.
From The Dark Knight?
As you can imagine, Phoenix's relationship with the police kind of soured after the whole pepper spray incident. It wasn't the best relationship to begin with, but now it's even worse. Phoenix, he just wanted to help the boys in blue and gain their respect. But they saw him as a nuisance who was doing more harm than good. And it wasn't even just the police, it was like the officials of the city of Seattle. One city attorney said, Mr. Fodor is no hero, just a deeply misguided individual. He has been warned that his actions put himself in danger, and the latest episode demonstrates that innocent bystanders can also be harmed. And the more famous Phoenix Jones got, the bigger his ego grew, and the more he started butting heads with cops and officials.
Police worry Phoenix's recent taste of fame pushes him to put himself in harm's way.
Don't insert yourself into those situations.
I'm saying this now, all right, so I could have this documented and look back on. If my acting career continues to go the way it has been, I will always, I know for a fact, because I worked in the music industry and was around, you know, a lot of people who get some fucking big egos. And I always said, you know, made a promise to myself, like, no matter what, I will always remain humbled and grounded. I mean, you know, this is just an analogy, but way off the topic. If you guys ever seen that 60 Days In show where they just take, you know, sometimes they might be like police or former police or investigators or, you know, just big fans of the show, and they'll put them in jail with a, you know, made up crime for them to report back to, you know, the sheriff. Like, you know, how are drugs getting in? How is this getting in? You know, who are the leaders of, you know, these, you know, racial tensions and all that. And there was a guy on there named Robert who was a participant. Now, this dude intentionally gets himself put into the hole because, mind you, the correction officers don't know about this. I mean, they just know that there's a film crew there filming, but they don't know what this show was about back when it first started. And this guy, Robert, he goes and he fucks with the camera, and that's like a big no-no to the, you know, jail officials, they said. And he gets thrown into solitary confinement. And, you know, partway through, he starts acting like he's horribly ill. All of a sudden, when they said they were going to put him back into the, you know, general rotation or general population or whatever of people, he starts pretending like he's so sick and this and that, and he drops out of the show and goes to the emergency room, and the next day, you know, they go to talk to him and he's completely fine, like all happy-go-lucky. They had, I mean, this mother sucker had the nerve, like, they followed up with him because he was such an idiot, just kind of like this guy, that he had like his 10 rules for talking to Robert or speaking to Robert. I mean, and he's a fucking school teacher. Like, if I ever seen, like, you know, my daughter's school teachers like that, no way. But I suggest checking it out if you're interested in that story, like just how unhinged from reality some of these people really can be. Oh my god, this dude has some funny puns.
This guy. And this was kind of like the turning point for his reputation. Even his fellow superheroes were turning on him. Rain City superhero member Shockwave made a lengthy Facebook post detailing how much of a putz Ben Fodor was behind the scenes. Phoenix Jones patrols are always in front of bars and alleys behind bars. Phoenix Jones preys on people who are drunk and unable to function normally because they are impaired by alcohol. These are normal citizens out to have fun, get drunk, and maybe make a few poor decisions, but are generally good people. From time to time, Phoenix Jones picks a fight with maybe an actual criminal, but mostly it's just impaired people. Case in point, the Phoenix Jones Mutual Combat video. Clearly the guy and his friends are impaired by alcohol when Phoenix decides to take them on in a fight. Clearly not a fair fight. Would MMA allow one fighter to be drunk while the other is sober? South Seattle has true crime, like on Rainer Avenue and Martin Luther King Jr. Way, but you won't find Phoenix Jones down there fighting real drug dealers and gang members. That was just one of the many accusations made against him by other heroes in the RCSM, and this post came just one day after Jones officially disbanded the Rain City superhero movement. I love being a superhero, and I believe there's a certain level of professionalism that goes with that. I just can't in good conscience continue to put my seal of approval on people I feel are not loyal or properly trained. And if that wasn't bad enough, his wife left him too. Purple Rain, aka Ben Fodor's wife, announced on November 13th, 2013 that the two were no longer together. Bro was really going through it. He lost his friends, his wife, and his reputation all in the span of a year. After the disbanding of the RCSM, Phoenix went off on his own. He was still patrolling the streets of Seattle because that's the only life he knew. But now he had to be a lot more careful to avoid scrutiny. So for the most part, he stayed out of the headlines. That is until January of 2020 when Ben Fodor was arrested after him and his girlfriend allegedly tried to sell drugs to an undercover cop, which is absolutely wild. That's like fun.
That is, I mean, yeah, you kind of see it in the title, went to prison. Like, I was gonna say, like, you know, maybe he just beat the shit out of somebody so bad that he went to prison or something, but wow. That is, yeah, that is crazy.
Him and his girlfriend allegedly tried to sell drugs to an undercover cop, which is absolutely wild. That's like finding out Batman was secretly a serial killer the whole time. It's like they say, you either die a hero or live long enough to become a... Oh wait, I already said that earlier. It was around that same time that Phoenix officially announced that he was hanging up his cape, so to speak. At the age of 29, Benjamin Fodor finally retired his alter ego Phoenix Jones. Or so we thought, because in 2020 he was seen walking around the Capitol Hill occupied zone, which, if you guys don't remember, it was this block in downtown Seattle that was taken over by Black Lives Matter protesters. Since then, there have been no officially documented sightings of him. But according to legend, even today, on a cold, dark Seattle night, you might catch a glimpse of him out there in the streets, pepper spraying tough guys and punching hooligans in the head. I personally hope he keeps it up for as long as possible, because he may not be the hero we need, but he sure as shit is the one we deserve. Guys, I have something to admit. This isn't easy, but I gotta come out and say it. I'm kind of a schlemiel, okay?
You know, one thing that I have said over again and over again is that I think working in the music industry gave me a lot of insight into fame, popularity, things of that nature. You almost feel as if you can do anything, get away with anything. And when I say you almost feel, not those behind the scenes, not people like myself or, you know, who found these artists or who are giving these artists, you know, an opportunity to shine. So many times they mess it up before, you know, a release of an album drops, or tensions arise between people, and it's all because of ego. Fame does something to people that it's just, yeah, it's awful. It really is. You know, I've said this before. With the exception of the YouTube commercials I did, the part that I got is one of the lead characters. And I mean, I have this much to freaking read. And I mean, to memorize little by little, that's a shit ton of stuff to remember. So I do it because I enjoy acting. I do it not for fame, but something that I've always enjoyed. Making people happy, or seeing their reaction out of it, or having fun, which the process is pretty fun. So anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, I'm out.